Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome out to another episode. Episode 47 of According to Kaz Queen. And as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And we want to welcome you out to this little podcast of ours. Of course, these are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys publicly to, sometimes make you laugh, sometimes make you think, to be introspective. But of course, we want to open the lines of communication between men and women, husbands and wives, friends and lovers, all of those folks in between. Of course, you can listen to us on all streaming services. You know the drill by now. We're in season 2. We've done 47 episodes. Wherever you listen to podcasts, that's where you can check us out at Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout, of course. And you can also catch us on Black with No Chaser. All right. All you got to do is download the Black with No Chaser app. All right. Go to the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store or the Apple Store, wherever you iPhone people go and get your things. You can check us out there as well. Of course, download the BWNC radio app. You can check us out there. And of course, youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. Of course, if I put my finger right there, boom, you know what time it is. All right. youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. We're inching closer to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to keep this thing going, man. We're going to be consistent. We love doing what we do. We're going to keep bringing it to you. And, we're going to do this one subscriber at a time, one fan at a time. And we appreciate all of you who always reach out and say that you enjoy the conversation. So we're going to keep doing what we do. You can check us out on all streaming services. Check us out on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Kaz and Queen is on Threads now. So if you got Threads, you can, follow us on there as well and check us out. And we'll be dropping content on those spots as well. And of course, the Kundi collection is in full effect right here. I got Little Africa on today. All right. I know you've seen it. We got it back again. Mississippi is the cradle of civilization for Black folks, the birthplace of America's music. And you can get it at www.kundicollective.com, www.kundicollective.com. And if you go to the website, you can see also a lot of the great products that you can purchase at Queen Franklin's Closet. All right. So make sure that you do that. My beautiful bride is back on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? The hackers came through.
You woke me down. He woke me down, y'all.
And got her down bad. But, I told her she's a public figure. She's got to come back to social media as much as you might not want to. So you'll be able to, of course, see her new Instagram name. Of course, I posted it a few seconds ago when she introduced herself. But Fumi Queen Franklin on Instagram. Make sure you go follow her. Make sure you follow Queen Franklin's Closet 601 there as well. So anyway, we're back in full effect. We're getting along in the summer. There's a lot of stuff going on. We had a lot of stuff. Had a really good conversation on last week. One of our most viewed shows to date. We appreciate y'all who have tuned in. Got some new subscribers from that. Great conversation. So something else popped up this week on my feed. I sent it to you. Definitely want to talk about it. We talk about a lot of these things as a married couple, but at one time before you were married, you're single. So
before we get into that,
yes,
about last week, can I say something?
Absolutely. This is your show.
Yeah. So last week, if you watched last week's episode, if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. But last week's episode, I've done a whole lot of growing and self-identification and self-reflection right here in this podcast. We both have. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't stop when the episode ends, right? So we have to go back and feel whatever feelings and emotions about having these conversations, because one thing that's always been important to the Franklins is transparency. Yes. Not just with you guys, but with ourselves individually and collectively. And sometimes that doesn't happen until it happens. Like you get to see it happening. So one of the things we talked about last week was about liking pictures, spouses liking pictures, or girlfriends, significant others, and having an issue with that. And I was able to admit to myself actually, that the reason why I had an issue in the early parts of our relationship was because I had some issues with my own confidence level, right? That was hard for me to say out loud. My husband took that as me saying that as me being okay with being that way or having been that way before. That wasn't really it. I said it. I admitted it, but I was admitting it, saying it, making it a real thing for me at the time. So then I had to go back and process the emotion around the shame and the guilt that I felt for having been that person. I mean, I'm not really proud of having been that person. I understand that there was trauma that led me to be the kind of person who was insecure with her body to the point to where I was making him feel a way about how he operated in his own life, which I didn't really have the right to do, which added guilt to my shame. So I had to process that. So every time we posted, there was scheduled posts for, promo for the show. Every time it came up, it made me face it again. I had to face that I was that person, that I put you through that it was shameful, that it was hurtful, that, I allowed someone from a previous relationship to strip away all of my confidence, all of my ability to be able to stand in my selfness and to love who I am and what I look like and all of that. I was shameful. I have a whole organization built around teaching women how to take pride in themselves and their confidence. And I wasn't ready to talk about that publicly because I'm the one who teaches other people or encourages other people to be confident. It's a whole grip of women walking around this city right now who I've helped and contributed to becoming more confident while not really dealing with my own shame and guilt from not having that confidence myself. Last week's episode made me have to deal with that. And I then had to, through my processing, I had to involve him in the processing, and a lot of stuff just came out, and it was hard and it was tough. So I really want to say that we are all accountable for and responsible for our own growth and healing. It's also important to allow people to process and deal with things the way they need to deal with them and respect that. So I just want to share with y'all that most of the time, these things are not rehearsed. Not most of the time, ever. We never sit down and say, I'm going to make this point, you make this point, you make this point, and I'm going to make this point. You get the absolute raw deal here, which means that it's not always going to be easy, well thought out, all articulate, all put together, because we are doing healing work at the same time. We just happen to be doing it in front of you instead of behind closed doors, which is not a problem for us because we are man and woman enough to handle it. But I just wanted to say to you that I know I took you through stuff last week trying to come to grips with how I felt about making those acknowledgments and saying that stuff out loud. And I want to thank you for continuously being supportive and offering some sentiment of, okay, baby, this is what this is. I know what this is. You know what this is. But you trying to make me operate in this with you, and I really don't feel like that's fair. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you for pointing out how what I said or how I was processing made you feel, and then understanding how I was feeling and respecting it. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
And, that's what this is about. And if I can respond to what you're saying, we had the discussion, guys, about, her revelation on last week. And, she and I process things differently. When I've come to revelations on this podcast, they are what they are. When I admit to you things that I'm not proud of and that I'm shameful about, I've talked about, my inefficiencies in being a father and not being a good father. When I talk about my inefficiencies in my career, in my music career, when I talk about my inefficiencies as a man and things that I am not proud of, I speak about those things matter of factly. For me, speaking about them and admitting them, I look at it as an opportunity to be a teachable moment for other people. And I think what I was telling my bride in us having that discussion, she was very, very concerned about the fact, you were concerned about the fact that, you counsel women, you counsel men, you counsel, human beings on processing their feelings and dealing with similar issues to what you have dealt with. I think it's very important, and I think it's commendable, and I think it solidifies and validates your place in their lives and the gifts that you have been given, because you have actually lived those things and you've actually gone through them and had those feelings.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone that has ever been in your counsel, anyone that has ever been your client, I don't think any of them ever looked at you and felt like you were perfect. I don't think any of them ever.
I hope not.
I don't think any of them heard that story or heard that revelation and, took any of your advice any less than they did at the time. I think it only strengthens your power, because you can't counsel someone and you can't give advice to someone if you have not gone what they have gone through. You just can't do it. And if you are counseling women and men on, pulling their insecurities up by the root and really dealing with the trauma and dealing with those insecurities at face, if you're counseling them on that, there's more power in your words when you can come to them and give them personal testimony. Yeah. And I think it was a lot more powerful for you to say that, because now you've dealt with it and you figured out how to get past it. So now there is strength in what you say. I counsel artists, I consult with artists. I consult with musicians. I consult with people about the music business when I do it, when they reach out. And for me, I have a lot of people walking around here who I've counseled and consulted, who have come to me for consult as artists. And for me, because I'm able to give them stories of the mistakes that I've made and the things that I've gone through, as embarrassing as they are, and some of them are embarrassing.
Yeah.
As I'm able to tell them these stories, then I can counsel them and consult them from a place of having the experience to tell them, this is what happened to me, and this is what you can do to prevent it from happening to you. So, it's the same thing we've talked about, I think, on this podcast earlier with preachers, all of these folks, somebody in the pulpit who, has not, sinned or has not had transgressions or has not been involved in something that may be frowned upon. It's difficult for me to take them seriously preaching from a pulpit or preaching from a place of, counseling other people if you yourself have not gone through it. I think the word is credible messenger is what the word is called. I was speaking with some guys the other day who were previously incarcerated, who go out and they talk to young men who are at risk, and they talk to troubled youth, and, they counsel them and they mentor them, and they're called credible messengers because they are people who have gone astray, who have gone to jail, who have committed crimes. Some of them have committed, terrible crimes that have gotten out and they have repented, and, they have been rehabilitated, and they're out preaching to kids and telling them from a place of experience about how to avoid jail and death and the streets. And I think credible messengers are important. You are a credible messenger because you lived it and you dealt with it. I know it was difficult for you to deal with. I know it was difficult for you to say, but I think it was very good for people to hear it, because there was absolutely other people who have had this discussion. I've seen it happen before, and I've seen people talk about it on social media. There are absolutely people and couples who are dealing with that same issue that we dealt with.
Well, I just hope that they're able to go back and figure out why, because there's always a why, yes. Right? There's always a why. So what I was actually able to understand last week's episode was my why. That's what y'all called me, acknowledging the why, why I was this way, how I got to that point. The why is what was important, and that was new. The rest of it wasn't so much, I had to work through all of that. But doing the work that we've been doing on Own Your Power and the Whispers and Screams is making me have to face a lot of the stuff that is triggered from my trauma, even though I work through trauma and I know and I'm familiar with my trauma. Sometimes there are underlining things that we have adapted in our life based off of the trauma that we have to dig a little bit deeper to understand why we are this way, because we tell ourselves, like for instance, in this particular situation, I felt disrespected, but I didn't dig deep enough to try to figure out why I felt disrespected. So learning to understand those processes helps you kind of work through the trauma and get over to the other side of healing. So I was able to do that, and I'm thankful for it.
And as you said, when people say that's disrespectful or I feel disrespected, in most instances, it comes from an insecurity or a trigger or trauma.
It comes from a personal experience.
Right. You have to ask yourself, why do I feel disrespected? Especially if it's an instance where there's a lot of other people who don't even look at it in the same fashion. True. When you say, well, for me, it's disrespectful, well, that means that for you, this was a trigger for you that comes from something, you know, and you got to pull it up. Like, I used the word last week, pulling it up by the roots. You have to pull it up by the roots. It's a weed. It's a spiritual, it's a psychological weed that you have to pull up. When you're killing weeds in your yard and in your garden, if you don't pull them up by the roots, if you don't kill them at the roots, they're going to regrow again. You can't just chop it off at the top. You can't cut through it. You can't clip it, and make it even with the rest of the grass. If you do that, it's going to continue to grow. You have to pull those psychological weeds up by the roots, and you have to fix them there. So I think that was important, and that was a breakthrough. And, we are transparent. People tell us that all the time.
People are uncomfortable with our level of transparency.
I think,
like, how are you measuring our level of transparency?
This social media age, people are putting on facades, which, by the way, segue, leads me to my first thing, because you are, a not an avid watcher, but you're familiar with, you will definitely dabble into the reality shows, into the Housewives shows, and occasionally dabble into a reunion show.
I guess that's fair. Yeah.
To check it out. I've always wondered what your fascination was with this, because, watching it for me is very stressful. It puts a level of anxiety and puts a level of heaviness on my spirit, because the conflict that exists in these shows that's necessary for them to be popular, I think is very detrimental. So, I sent you the video. I don't know if you had seen it already. I know you kind of follow. I think you've actually watched this particular show. But the Housewives of the Potomac, they got into a real live scrap. You may have some background on how the scrap occurred, but you may know some of the women that are involved in it. I don't know if this is one you watched as much as you watched Atlanta or some of the other ones, but it's gotten to the point now where these reality shows, in order to one up each other, they're getting more and more crazy. They're getting more and more staged. They're getting more and more toxic. And
you think this fight was staged?
I don't think this fight was staged. I know that there are elements of all of these reality shows that are staged. Of course, we have our very own that exists here in Jackson, Mississippi, for the people that watch the
Bell Collective.
The Bell Collective that watch the is it OWN, or do they call it OWN? It's the Oprah Network.
OWN Network.
Okay. So I don't know if they spelled it out or said it out, but we have our own that takes place here in Jackson, Mississippi. That's called the Bell Collective. And, it's crazy when it comes on every week. You can see the comments because, we're in Jackson and we know some of these people. And, people are giving their opinions on what's staged and what looks crazy and what doesn't. But we all know that these reality shows have elements that are staged. But this fight was a real fight. It wasn't on camera. There was somebody that was filming it. The toxicity that exists in these shows that have to be created for these shows to be popular obviously spills over and has spilled over into real life, where you have these women in heels and expensive dresses and purses, fighting each other. The level of anger with each other has gotten to the point where, it gets physical. And I'm wondering, have we created a monster that has gotten out of control? And as somebody who has admittedly watched these, do you think we have reached the tipping point? And where do we go? And how do we put the toothpaste back in the tube, if that's a term that you can use? You really can't.
What's the tipping point? The fighting?
Now that the fighting, of course, the on-camera fighting, I know is a lot of times instigated because it's going to mean ratings. But when the lights and the cameras go off and the anger and the animosity is still there and it turns into a fight off camera that's not on camera, and people are actually mad at each other and people are actually wanting to box each other, how do we get there from, these women that are supposed to be part of the upper crust of black women in the Potomac area?
Who said that?
That's what they say.
They just, the women that they called, one person gathered her friends for a show.
So is that the same thing? Because I think they did that with the Bell Collective. They called one person.
For everybody.
They called one person.
They get them a person or two, and those people find the cast. I'm sure they do vetting and all of that to make sure that they meet criteria or whatever. But that person, Nene Leakes, was the person who put the Atlanta cast together.
Oh, so maybe that's why she acts like she acts then.
Of course, she's the OG.
She's the OG.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the OGs act like that.
Okay.
I think
I did not know that.
On the Potomac, I think Karen was the one that brought everybody together. She's the oldest.
Was she in the scrap?
No.
Okay.
No.
Like Shawnee was the one that brought the Basketball Wives together.
Correct.
And she too was never in any of the scraps.
Correct.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's a formula.
I didn't know that was the dynamic. That one person. I thought they had a producer that came in and they kind of asked people and found.
They have a producer who finds a person, and that person collects the rest of the people. That's the way it's generally been. I can't specifically talk about the Bell Collective. I don't know if that's how it worked with them, but I think that I've heard that it worked that way with them as well.
I heard that it worked that way as well. I don't know who the
but as far as if we've reached a tipping point, no, this is regular. They just happened to do it when the cameras wasn't on. They wasn't trying to not do it in front of the camera. It just happened when the cameras wasn't rolling.
I just feel like this is not normal behavior for humans.
I keep telling you that there are people who exist this way. Yes, they are they are scripted in a way that they push things on them and put together conflict or situations that will create conflict, and they feed into the conflict. True. But there are people out there who act this way, think this way, feel this way. It's just being filmed. I know it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's people around the corner right now with mess like that going on around in their crew right now.
That's crazy. It makes me sad.
It's a sad thing, and I won't say that social media and our access to being able to see these things happening is not worsening the situation. Sure it is, because it's normalizing people to this behavior. So, and it's also making people think that it's okay to be this way. So sure, you have a point with that.
So maybe that's my point.
But it's not
then.
made up.
Maybe.
It's actually people in the world who have these thought processes, who behave this way, and who, for lack of better words, lack substance.
There are groups of women who may or may not even really fuck with each other.
Yes.
Who go to dinner together regularly.
Absolutely.
Will go on There are people that go on vacation with people that they don't really fuck with.
Yes. We just had a girl who got killed over in a thing. You think those people fucked with her? She thought they were her friends.
That's an excellent point.
That's real life, baby. It happens all the time.
That's an excellent point.
It's not great. And once you mature and you know yourself and you decide that you're not going to put up with certain things in your life, then you elevate beyond that. But there are a lot of people who haven't.
Why do you think? Because we don't see any shows with men that do this. Now, I have seen some excerpts of the
Bad Boys.
Of the Bad Boys.
It's ridiculous.
But a lot of that is super staged.
I have to agree with that.
A lot of that is super staged because I'm a man and I know a lot of the things that we see that happen in these reality shows with women would not happen with the male species, just simply because I don't know. It's because the chromosomes and the DNA.
Men put in a particular situation in a house where they don't have no women around, and they can be just as messy and drama filled as the women.
Depending
on what?
On the personalities of the people that you. I mean, if you got a house with Raz B, and then you got
Orlando.
Where the money reside? Where the money reside? Okay.
One more time for the people.
Okay. Going to the what?
And that's all Mary had a little lamb.
Okay. That man is on a TV show from doing that one thing.
He's funny.
That one thing. I haven't watched the show. I watched the clip of Orlando Brown and Raz B. First of all, Raz B is ridiculous.
So is Orlando Brown.
Orlando Brown.
He a clown.
Does not have all of his faculties. Let's just say that. Orlando Brown is in a box by himself. His reality is... I'd like to know what he sees out of his eyes with the world. I'd like to know that he's not all there, and I think he's being exploited for the fact that he's not all there. He hasn't had a chance to go to therapy. He hasn't had a chance to heal.
He's had chances. He's been to rehab. He's had chances.
Drugs. They took him right out of jail. He was bailed out. Which is sad because one of the most recognizable faces, we just got through watching the Jamie Foxx show, and he was on there several times. He's been on several shows, and then got locked up and wasn't even able to make bail. Didn't even have friends to make bail. The show bailed him out, and he goes from right out of jail into a house with all of these people. It's like we're setting this up to exploit the personalities of the people in this house for the entertainment of other people. But as far as going on a vacation, I don't know a set of dudes that exist that will go on vacation with folks that they don't really fuck with. That's just not a dude.
Do you
thing.
know women who would?
Obviously on these shows, I'm looking at it every week, and you say they exist.
But I'm talking about, do you know personally?
You wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
But
I wouldn't even fuck with people that I had to have those type of engagements and interactions.
The engagements are like, why would you get up every day knowing that you would have to have those type of engagements?
For a bag, baby, for the bag and the fame.
But you said that there are people who are doing that right now and the cameras are not there. So what are these engagements for if the bag is not there? I can see you being on this show.
A lot of people outside of reality TV who live like this, and it might be extreme, but have versions of this in their lives. A lot of those people are normalized to it. They grew up in it. They don't know that relationships don't have to exist this way. I remember a time in my life where this was common. It was absolutely common. Everybody disliked each other and hung out all the time. There's a love there, but then there's a dislike as well. So yeah, I've seen that. I've lived it. I see it now happening with people. And it's just a thing, until you grow and you become elevated and understand that having this type of toxicity around you is really not beneficial. What you think is beneficial is surface level, and you could go deeper and get better, until you learn that, then that's what it is. I do think, though, that people are more aware the older they become about who they have around them in their circles. But when you young, child, you be worried about other things.
But these, some of these are young women. You watch the Vanderpump show. What's the other? Is it still Vanderpump?
Yeah, Vanderpump Rules.
Those are young kids, and they're all in their 20s, and it's ridiculous.
It's a bunch of mess all the time.
It's ridiculous. But a lot of these women in these reality shows are, late 30s, 40s.
Well, their value system is different from people who are not on TV.
That's fair. And they know that they're getting the bag, too.
And fame. A lot of them don't necessarily need the bag as much as they want people to know who they are. Mm. If you take that element out of ordinary life, then some of this is not going to look the same.
I just want to know sometimes, and I wonder, is it really worth it? Do these people, is the pursuit of the bag and them being known, is it important enough for them to put themselves through what they go through?
It has to be. Some of them been doing it for 10 to 12 years. So surely it is. This is just a matter of it not being important enough to you.
Like, I wonder, is Phaedra actually taking cases? Are there people that are actually hiring her to do law work while she's on this show?
I don't know.
Like, who would? Idea. Like, after seeing this, who would hire her to do something?
She doesn't have to take any more cases.
Because of this show?
She could just pop up on a show, and Phaedra specifically doesn't even contribute, really. She's kind of just be on there. So she get a check just for being on there. I don't think she's on anything right now. She was recently on a show that they put together for former housewives. And she was pretty quiet on that one. She just, I'm here, give me a check.
At this point, I know I can slide in and get a check.
Phaedra, yes. But a lot of them are looking for security. Like, I need to make sure that I'm back next year. I need to make sure that I'm back next year. And I need to make, so they go on there with all the rivalry and ridiculousness that they could possibly muster and bring on so that they can guarantee that they'll be back the next year. Because if you're not high in ratings, then you could possibly be replaced or demoted to a friend of the housewives instead of a housewife. If you don't hold the peach, you don't get the check.
You gotta have the peach or what they hold in the Potomac.
Whatever they hold. I don't know what they hold in the Potomac.
Apple?
No, the Big Apple does the apple. I mean, New York does the apple.
Potomac is like in the Virginia, D.C. area. They hold a boat in their hand. Like a toy boat.
I don't know.
I've
been in and out on Potomac.
Yeah. Anyway, they got the boxing. It's ridiculous. I don't know.
Actually, one of the girls who was involved, I don't know who she was fighting, but she's a friend of the show. She's trying to get on the show.
Yes.
So that's what
this
all
might
of that
actually
was
get
about.
her on there now.
Correct.
So I've seen in the times, because there have been times when I've been held hostage and had to watch it with you watching Atlanta.
Never held hostage. That's crazy.
I am held hostage. The friend with Nene's friend.
Marlo.
Yeah.
Marlo was the friend for 8 years.
Didn't ever get a peach.
Never got a peach. And she finally got her peach, and she is off the chain 20, 100 all the time with the drama. All the time. She ain't got her foot. She put her foot on their neck and she ain't letting up. She bring drama. She bring drama all the time. And she's very thoughtful about the drama that she brings, because she bring it to people that in a way that she knows they're not going to ignore her, because those people are seasoned. They only get involved when they choose to. They don't necessarily pitter patter around the drama. They only get involved when they choose to. Like, for instance, Candy, and Marlo been coming for Candy forever. So Candy is the highest paid. She's the most seasoned. If you want a problem, bring the problem to Candy. Marlo has brought her problem to Candy, and it's ongoing. It's really crazy.
Candy can't let it slide. She's not going to let it slide.
The ATL and Candy gets the best of her, but she knows what's happening. She's very clear on what Marlo's doing, but she still can't stop herself.
Control herself. You might need to go talk to somebody about that, because clearly you don't have to at all. She is the richest of all of them.
But if she didn't, she wouldn't get that peach. That's been a steady check for her.
That's terrible.
For years.
I don't want to hate on it, and I can't hate on it, but,
I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, in this day and age, when I look at, on my timeline, and I look at these folks who have all of these views, and they basically get up every day and they just do dance routines on their page, and they're getting engagement and they're getting checks from it, and that's all they have to do. And I wonder to myself, if all of this fell apart tomorrow, what would you do?
Well, hopefully they've been saving their money, because I don't know what they would do, really, honestly.
Like some of these housewives, I know they have their own thing going on and they had money coming into it. But if these shows actually get canceled and you're not doing them anymore,
most of them have started their own businesses. I don't know how well the businesses do, but most of them have started businesses. I will say that when they come on there, they do kick up them a business real quick. 1 or 2, maybe 3.
I guess get it while the getting is good, I guess. So there's another question. There was another post floating on social media, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Of course, as I said, we talk about things from a married point of view, but we were once single. And there was a post from a young lady who, is not too fond of being asked to go on an ice cream date. She felt like she was too good to go on an ice cream date that stretched out to an arcade date. Somebody was talking about taking a date to the arcade, and that was not good as well. And it brought up the issue with folks about, is an ice cream date a date? Is an arcade date an actual date? Is it something that you would do? Is it lazy planning? As a woman, we had our courting stage, and I kind of know what you're probably going to say, but the idea now, because the bar has been pushed to the absolute ceiling right now, it's high for what men feel like they have to do as far as the date department is concerned. I don't know why they feel like that, because they should just do what they're able to do.
Well, they feel like that because the women ain't giving them no breaks.
Yeah, well.
The ice cream I don't know, I can only speak from my own personal perception, my own, how I feel about it. For me, getting to know someone, going on a date is about the exchange of energy. It's not about take me somewhere that I can take a picture and say this dude spent this and he took me here, he did this, and I can post it on Instagram and say, look at me, envy me, want to be me because I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That's not how I engage with people. If I was to go out on a date, ice cream would be delightful. It'd be refreshing. It'd be an opportunity to have conversation without alcohol influencing the conversation, without other people influencing the conversation, just me connecting to the person. I think ice cream dates are beautiful. I think picnics, and it doesn't have to do with being single. I'd love to do that now. I just want to exchange energy.
We go
time,
on
Froyo
dates.
Yeah, I want to do that. That's what I like to do.
We should get some Froyo.
I feel like when women put these type of stipulations out there, I don't know what it is they looking for. Are you looking for a photo moment? Are you looking to capture this in time so people can see you or see that you're wanted? Like, what's the point of that? Sometimes I'm out at events and at things and on dates, and I forget. I think later, like, oh, shoot, I should have took a picture. I'm involved in that moment. I'm not thinking about what other people gonna think about us doing what we doing.
Right.
So the only thing I can think of is that. So if she thinks that she's above ice cream, that's kind of weird. Like, you don't eat ice cream?
Right.
Who doesn't eat ice cream? Do you think that he only can afford ice cream? Because I didn't get that from what he typed.
I absolutely think that it's if all you can afford is ice cream, you're not on my level type thing.
But how do you know just because he asked you for ice cream that's all he can afford?
You don't know, but I'm just trying to figure out what the thought process was behind it, because, he may not be willing on the first date to spend $200, $300 on you on dinner for something that might not go someplace.
He's trying to figure out if y'all can get to vibe.
That's very important. I think people have gotten away from being conversationalists. You have to know if the person that you are going out with is going to be somebody that you want to continue to spend time with. And I'm not going to spend huge amounts of money in the, getting to know you stage. That's going to be a third or fourth date thing. This first date, someplace well lit, someplace that's safe, someplace where we can just tap in and get to know each other. I don't see that as being an issue. Now, I will say this as a dude, and I say this to a lot of other dudes too. In a lot of instances, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, in a lot of instances, if you offer the arcade date or you offer the ice cream date or you offer the coffee date, if you get these kinds of responses, in a lot of instances, it's because she ain't really feeling you too. There's a lot of instances where if they're really feeling you, they'll do the coffee date or they'll do the ice cream date.
They'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But there's also something to be said for limited exposure. Some women don't understand that as a date. They think a date is a particular thing, and if you're not doing that, then it's not a date.
A movie, dinner and a
show,
movie, that kind of thing. Yeah.
But what I'm fearful of and have a great amount of concern for is that women seem to not be looking for forever, building anything that lasts forever. It seems like they are just looking. Some women are looking for right here, right now, what you got for me. Because you got to bring something more to the table than I can bring for myself.
Right.
So if you're coming in here talking about ice cream, I can buy my own damn ice cream.
Or I'm really hungry and I really want a whole meal, and ice cream is not going to fit the bill because I'm really looking for you to feed me too.
That's
on top of that.
More than likely not ever going to be it, because she could eat before she go get the ice cream.
Possibly. Or she could be looking for a dude to feed her too. There have been some of the I'm going to go out with this dude so I can get this free meal dates not happening. Don't tell me that ain't going on.
Yeah, that happens.
That is happening a whole lot. You know, it's a lot of dudes that have just been, you know, the guy that's going to take me to get some dinner because I don't feel like cooking or I don't have anything in my house too as well. And it's going to be just that. And that leads to, of course, the reason why you should vet the people. Here's the thing, and we've said this on this podcast a million times. You just need to find the people that are on what you own. Simple as that.
Well, he handled it well. He was like, okay, cool. And that's kind of it,
really, at the end of the day, because you're not for me. If the ice cream date is not your thing, I can offer this same thing to somebody else, and they're going to be like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
So now we can go someplace. This actually, you know, I vetted you, or we vetted each other. We know that we are not compatible right here at this very basic thing.
Ain't no need to go no further. I ain't got to try to convince you or diss you because this is not what you want. Yeah. We just not compatible. We're not aligned.
That's it.
So I'm going to go my way and you go. But I think a walk in the park with a slushie or some ice cream is a wonderful opportunity to vibe with somebody and get to know them and kind of chill out without all the extra pressure. Like, y'all missing out. Y'all missing out.
It's an important part. You have to know the people that you're trying to, you got to get to know people. You got to have a conversation.
Unless you don't want to know them and you just want the money. If they ain't got no money, it's over. Like, they don't do that no more. Like, if you broke or if you ain't making more money than me, then you are not worth my time.
Here's the thing. The public perception is that if you're broke, you in trouble as far as dating. But I really believe, honestly, that the broke dudes are the dudes that, you know, don't have the great jobs that are doing that. They just need to be more discerning because they can find somebody who will like you for you. I think the mantra is out there now on social media that you got to find somebody that's got money and I need somebody that's going to be able to take care of me and that kind of thing. We can tell you as a seasoned, you know, and a married couple of, you know, going on 14 years that whole, you know, got some money thing and can do this and can do that thing. That's not going to be as important to you the older you get. It's not going to
and it's not going to always be the same.
And it's not going to always
be the same. It changes. There have been years where I made more money than you. There have been years where you made more money than me.
Yes.
I mean, we won. What's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. That's just how it goes.
There's been some years where you were working and I was, you know, doing the entrepreneur thing and you were paying the bulk of the bills, and there was times when I was doing that very same thing. It fluctuates, and you don't find it out until you get seasoned and you've been married and you understand how relationships really, really work. A lot of this superficial stuff that you see on social media is going to really fuck up a lot of people's idea of dating, and it's unfortunate because people are going to miss out on some really good people because they're taking, you know, bad advice at the end of the day.
Well, I thank God that I didn't have that mentality because when I met you, you didn't have jack.
I didn't have jack diddly poo.
And I remember telling you, because you were really having a hard time dealing with the fact that you weren't able to contribute, because I was having a hard time too. So you felt bad about not being able to help me get out of the situation. Plus you had other stuff that you were working through from past relationships about, you know, he had real hang-ups on gold diggers and all that kind of stuff. So it was never an issue for me. And I remember telling you I would be with you in a cardboard box on the side of the road. And I remember you gasping like, what?
I mean, when you told me that, then I knew, because it's really about being equally yoked, people. It's really about that, you know.
It was about being rich in other ways. And I was young then. I don't know if I would say that no more, but.
Yeah. I mean,
I was really young, and I was already in the world. Like we previously discussed about the reality show Women, I was already in that world, and I was ready for my world to change. And I felt like you was going to help usher in a new existence for me, and you absolutely did.
I mean, and it's about the communication. You got to actually, like, I need to talk to you. I need to know if you are a woman who thinks the earth is flat, or if you are a woman that thinks that DC Young Fly sacrificed his baby mama for fame. Like, I need to know this in the conversation, because there are things that you can say in us having this ice cream that will compute with me mentally, that's going to say, this is it.
Yes.
Today is
for
it.
Sure.
I've spent $5 on this cup of ice cream. We're sitting there having this conversation, and I can't do anything else with this. I need to know this. A lot of times, you're not going to get that far if you going to dinner and a movie and you're spending all this money. Like, I don't need to spend $500, $600 to get through the phase of kind of knowing if this is going to go any further. It's not worth that much money.
It's got to be some give and take.
Yeah,
so if women are looking for something, if everybody's vetting each other, so it seems smart to me for the man to say, okay, since I don't really know what you own, and it could be anything. You could be a gold digger. You could be trying to trap me and make me get you pregnant and then just take all my money. Like, it could be anything. So the man deserves the opportunity to say, yes, I want to know you. I want to go out with you, but I'm not spending $500 on a date, and it might not ever be another date. So let's go out here and have some ice cream. So then, is he wrong for having that thought process?
No, he's not. I think, actually, if you're being honest, if you are a gold digger, the quickest way to get in is to go on the ice cream date. If you're trying to lure them in, that's the quickest way that you're trying to figure out if there's going to be some money there, or if it's something that you can get. The quickest way to do that is to go on the ice cream date at the very beginning and have a conversation, and then you can find out. But, if you say off the top, I'm too good for an ice cream date, that's below my standards already, well, we already know what it is.
And so what are your standards, ma'am?
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you another little
What do you have against
here.
Ice cream?
People who have real money, you'll never know it because they don't look like it and they don't spend it. Now, these folks out here, I saw a dude at the gym this morning, flashy in the gym, flashy. Like, dude, come on. Went outside, your car flashy. Like, that's who you need to be concerned about. He's probably done spent all his money on gym clothes and his fancy car. Might not even have no gas in it, but you'll be attracted to that, and you'll think, oh, he got money, he got this, he got that. Meanwhile, the dude in the paid for car outside, that's completely paid for, in there with a t-shirt on and some regular old pants and some regular old shoes, got all of the money that you could possibly imagine, because people with money don't spend money to look like they got money. That's a little tip.
Or you
for
sit down and you have a conversation with the dude with the flashy car, and he'll tell you that he thinks the Gucci man that's out now is a clone.
Or he
man.
just got through beating up on his last girlfriend.
Something like that.
Anything.
But
money, just because he look like he got money don't mean your words are over.
Because the conversation can be trash, and actually
he could be trash.
Intellectually, he could be trash as well. Like, there are things that are just going to be more important to you the older that you get. Because if you're talking about really getting married and this person being your forever person, there's thousands of conversations that you're going to have waking up. There's thousands of conversations that you're going to have laying in bed at night. Thousands of jokes and laughs that you could have. Thousands of date nights and trips and stuff that you have to have with this forever person. And that's not something to take lightly. That's not something to just glance over if that's actually what you are striving for. And there are a lot of people out there that are not striving to be married or have kids. And you take them and you can put them in this compartment over here in this box. But for those of you who are looking for that and looking for relationships and looking for marriage and looking for that forever person that you're equally yoked to, there, you got to really know what you're getting into. And conversations over ice cream are some of the things that can help you to get to that next level. And you're not going to know that if you're trying to get him to take you to get, steak and shrimp and steak and lobster.
Well, it sounds like she just really wasn't digging him. Because to be honest with you, it's an ice cream date. It might take an hour. Like, most people who are looking for a relationship or something significant, I think they would take the ice cream date. So she may have just not been interested in him.
Not feeling him.
Not feeling him.
That's cool. So I want to ask you this as we wrap up. Saw another question floating around on social media. An unserious generational curse that you want to break. An unserious generational thing that has gone on in your family that's unserious that you would like to break in this generation.
Unserious? Our generational curses are serious.
Something that's a generational tradition, I guess, that's unserious that you want to break and feel like you shouldn't have to continue. Like for instance, somebody said that, when it's thundering outside and your grandmama
turn all your lights off and get under the bed.
Unplug everything, get in the room and sit in the dark the whole time.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to think about that. What is yours?
If our kid doesn't want to eat what we have in there, they have the option to not eat or go in there and fix something else that they want. Instead of you gonna eat what we cook.
Oh, we done already broke that curse then, if that's the case.
Oh, that's one. It's several. It's a lot of them.
Having to go to college. The idea. We done broke that
one too.
But that was important for us. We talked about that. The idea that graduating from high school, college is absolute, like you're not done until you go to college for 4 years. Then you can decide what you want to do with your life. But college is a must. Like, I'd like to do away with that. Mm-hmm. Because everybody ain't meant for college, and
you gotta understand that.
So much worse having to pay off student loans for a degree that you don't use, or going and don't finish. Like, I would just wrap that up. Like, if you go to college, great. If that's what you want to do. If you don't, then cool. Let's figure out something else.
Yeah, we have 3 grown kids. One of them is a college graduate. Did very well in school. Very, very bright.
But she had choices too. She chose to go to college.
She chose to go to college, but that was kind of on her thing. She was valedictorian in her high school class. She was a chemistry major, wanting to go into forensic science, and she went through, graduated, and she did her thing. She was okay with school. Now the 2 boys, school was not their thing. They went, they came, they saw, they were like,
They gave it a shot.
They gave it a shot. And it was not their thing. So, and we were cool with that. There was a time where that would have been a problem.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a time when that would have been a problem.
No doubt about it.
That would have been a problem.
I only went to Tougaloo. I tell people this all the time. I only went to Tougaloo because I was done with high school. I was done with school in high school. I knew that for myself. Mm-hmm. I knew I was not interested in going to college.
Right.
And why I chose to go to Tougaloo out of all places, because Tougaloo is not a place you go to half-heartedly.
To play around, yeah.
Tougaloo is a place you have to be fully committed to. It's excellence, like seriously. I knew I wasn't ready for that. But my dad had transitioned 4 years before that, 2 years before that, actually. And my sister had gone to Tougaloo. I wanted to build some sort of legacy there. I wanted to be the person, like Tougaloo is going to be our family thing. You know how you have people, everybody go to this. Tougaloo was going to be that. So I wanted to do that. And I was still trying to figure out some kind of way to stay connected to my dad. So if I go where he went, then I'd be doing it. But I had no interest at all in anything going on there except campus life. That was the only thing. Being away from home and being able to stay out, get up when I wanted to, eat when I wanted to, hang out with who I wanted to, do all the frivolous, stupid, ridiculous things that I could possibly do.
And ended up getting into debt. Ended up with student loans.
Lifelong debt. I've been in debt since then. And met the person who created all the drama and abuse in my life. Like, all of that happened there. So it actually created the person that I am here, but it didn't come from obtaining a degree. It came from life experience.
That's crazy.
But I still have student loans. that are ridiculous. So now I can't even go back and get my degree because I have to pay off the student loans to get the transcript. And I was there for 3.5 years. So it's kind of worthless to go back and start, not worthless, but it's kind of hard to jump over that hurdle of thinking I got to start all the way back over. And I only had like a semester or half a semester left. And I can't get my transcript because of student loans. So
we're going to figure out a way around that.
It's all really, really whack.
Breaking unserious generational curse. That's kind of serious, but at the end of the
unserious
day,
as I can get.
Not letting your kids go into debt, going to college, figuring out another way to do it,
or finding a journey that's really a continuation of somebody else's journey and not really your own.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, at any rate, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and joining us. Of course, it's episode 47, getting close to the end of season 2. Got about 3 more episodes in season 2, and then we'll be taking a little hiatus before we come back with season 3 with bigger and better conversations. But of course, continue to follow us on social media and continue to follow us on all streaming platforms. And we appreciate everybody that has been, stopping me in different places saying that they have checked out the podcast or they check out the clips that we put up or they listen to the podcast. We appreciate you. Make sure you tell a friend and have them to tell a friend and have them to check out these conversations, man. Again, these are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home. Right, so, of course, for According To Kaz Queen, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.